Hey, what's up everybody? So in today's video, we're gonna talk about Modern Bebop Licks. If you wanna skip all the technical/theoretical stuff, just check the description beneath the video. I'll give you the time code to jump right into the exercises. For those of you that are sticking around, let's get right into it. What defines a modern bebop lick? Great question. And I think to answer it, first we should define what a normal, traditional bebop lick is. So as a lot of you already probably know, the king of bebop education is a man named Barry Harris, who has given us an incredible wealth of knowledge about how bebop lines are structured and how you can practice bebop on your own. So if you haven't checked out Barry Harris's educational stuff, I highly recommend it. All right, so in my opinion, Barry Harris gives us a couple defining characteristics of bebop. First of all, the strong notes need to land on the strong beats. That's why Barry Harris gives us bebop scales. We're essentially taking a major scale, and what we're doing is we're adding in a leading tone somewhere in that scale to make the strong notes, so the 1, 3, 5, land on either a 1 or a 3 in the bar. By practicing different iterations of bebop scales, we can make those landings pretty consistently. Now, players like Charlie Parker, Bud Powell, and all of the bebop greats weren't necessarily thinking about the methodology in that way when they were actually playing it. However, because of all of the time they spent playing bebop and literally inventing it, they developed a certain vocabulary, and in that vocabulary, those strong notes land on the strong beats. There are certain contours to the lines that have become very common because of how they played. There are also little embellishments that they use extremely commonly, so throwing in a triplet here or there, throwing in 16th notes, all while still keeping those strong notes on strong beats. So those embellishments essentially just work as little leading tones and workarounds around the contours of their lines. All right, so what do I mean when I call a bebop lick modern? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of what a bebop lick is? Because I think a lot of our vocabulary comes from those very characteristics of bebop that were given to us by the bebop greats. So when I make a modern bebop lick, I worry about making sure that the strong notes of my lines fall on the strong beats, and that I'm drawing from the vocabulary established by the greats, which tends to be very clustered and chromatic. We get little chromatic lines around clustered chords as we move around different lines. Of course, people like McCoy Tyner, Coltrane became more pentatonic in their improvisation, and we've seen bigger and bigger intervals become more consistent parts of jazz improvisation as time has gone on. One example that comes to mind is a saxophonist like Mark Turner, who uses really huge intervallic leaps. So when I make a modern bebop lick, I'm not doing these gigantic leaps. I'm still staying with that smaller, more clustered formula of creating lines, but I'm straying from the original vocabulary a little bit in ways to make them sound modernized, sometimes choosing an interval that maybe Charlie Parker or Bud Powell would not have jumped or would not have chosen, or sometimes messing with a harmony in a way that is more characteristic of modern styles than of bebop styles. So ultimately, we're just taking those classic characteristics of bebop lines and throwing in a few modernisms to make them sound current. So basically, guys, what I did was I put together a bunch of bebop licks that I think are genuinely going to be a great challenge for you to practice. They're going to send your fingers in odd directions, and at the end, you're going to have a built-up vocabulary of bebop style licks that also have an element of modernness so that you sound current when you're improvising. So these first 10 are going to specifically be over 2-5-1s. 2-5-1s obviously are the most common of any progression you're going to find in jazz, so these licks should be applicable in many, many different songs. If you want all 20 of these licks in PDF form in all keys, check out jazzpianoconcepts.com/store, and I've got that PDF available for you right there. But before we jump in, guys, please consider clicking subscribe and clicking the little bell to turn on notifications, because I've got lots more videos just like this one coming right at you. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching. As always, please remember to subscribe and click the little bell for notifications if you haven't done so already.